This video, I want to share 2 reasons you could inadvertently stop yourself from filling your signature program, and I want to share with you what to do about it. So, if you're new to me, welcome. My name is Lauren Monique, and after helping thousands of teachers through my curriculum design and through my program to help them systematize their classrooms for more freedom outside of school hours, I now help established entrepreneurs, coaches, online experts, and mentors. I help them create scalable signature programs, build them, optimize them so they can have that freedom and really help more people as well. So I remember this was a number of years ago, and I was still teaching part time. And I was a curriculum designer. So I had been creating curriculum and lesson plans for teachers, and I'd been sharing them with probably hundreds of teachers at that point. And I decided to create a membership. And I created my membership. I launched my membership. I had 35 beautiful teachers in my membership. And I had about 100 students at this point as well, because I was working part time. I was a high school French teacher. And I remember driving in my car. It was downpouring rain because I live in Vancouver, Canada, and it rains a lot here. It was around November, and I remember it was just downpouring rain. And I remember this feeling of stress just bubbling over and wondering, like, how am I going to do it all? What if I let somebody down? What if I forget something? And I freaked out so much that I honestly needed to pull my car over. I really, really wanted to be able to grow my business. I wanted to be able to run my business full time, to be honest, at that point. I wanted to be able to run my business. I wanted to really support the students I did already have. I had a son at home who was about a year and a half, maybe 2 at the time. I wanted to be a good mom for him. I wanted to have that freedom to spend time with my family. And I wanted to really do a great job for all of my clients in my membership and the people who were still buying my resources. But I just remember feeling like it was just too much on my plate. And I felt like I was just at my max. And I really remember feeling like, okay, I need to do something different. I was so stressed out, and that membership really pushed me over the edge. I don't know if you've ever experienced anything like that, but I just remember feeling like I thought that this was going to be the thing that I wanted to do. But anytime I thought about launching it again, I had 35 paying members. I couldn't bring myself to do it. And here is what I've learned from since the hard way, of course, from that experience is since then I've been able to, I let go of that membership. If I'm completely honest, I had to really take some time to reflect and think about how I wanted to run things. I continued selling my digital products, and I still make passive income from that to this day. And I was able to start my group coaching program. I've started helping entrepreneurs. But the thing that I realized when I look back on it, there are 2 things. The first thing that I realized is that I needed to expand my capacity. I needed to expand my capacity. So at that point, I was helping 100, I had probably 120 students, high school students, and I had 35 teachers in my membership. And at that point, I had some systems, which we're going to get to in a moment. I'd had some systems, but for the most part, I had been reliant on my energy. I just had gone and gone and gone, and I just worked really hard, and that's how I managed to get everything going. But when I wanted to go to that next level, and it even worked honestly with having a side business and teaching. But when I wanted to go to that next level, and maybe this is you, if you are like a one-on-one coach and you want to go that next level, you want to bring more people in, you want to support more people in a more leveraged way, like I did with my membership. I realized I needed to expand my capacity, and I needed to rely more heavily on systems. And so what I mean by systems are a predetermined set of decisions for repetitive tasks, a predetermined set of decisions for repetitive tasks. And the thing that I find with a lot of my entrepreneurs that I work with now is sometimes I think we think, Ooh, systems sound restrictive. Systems sound like I can't keep up with them, or they don't sound like the freedom that I wanted when I started my business. But what I want you to think about with systems is that systems are a predetermined set of decisions for repetitive tasks, right? So they can be automations, they can be processes, but they can also just be routines or ways that you usually function by yourself or with your team. So I started putting in more systems in my classroom, and I started getting very, very systematized and effective and efficient in my classroom, which is what I ended up teaching teachers to do later. And I also started doing that in my business as well. And what I truly discovered, and this is what I would love for you to get, this is the first shift to make, is that really, systems are not restrictive. Systems bring you freedom. Systems aren't restrictive. Systems bring you freedom. That's what allowed me to expand my capacity, was through more systems. That's what allowed me to grow to a much higher, bigger level, and eventually leave the classroom altogether and run multiple businesses at once. But we'll get to that. So that's the first idea: is expand your capacity by using systems, because systems bring you freedom. So the second shift that I needed to make is that when I think about having a lot of students in my programs, and when I had them in my classroom, like at the height of my classroom when I was working full time, I had about 180 students. Then when I was running my business, I had 120 students and I was running my businesses, and I started growing my business. Eventually I let go of the classroom. But what I realized when I had all those demands on my time is the more personalization that you want in your program, the more systems you need to deliver it if you want it to be scalable. So the more personalization you want in your programs, the more systems you need to make it scalable. So here's what I mean by that. When I had 180 students, I really wanted my classroom to be personalized. So I knew my students well. I had individual, like we talk about in teaching, we talk about different tiers of support for kids. So some kids could just go with the regular instruction, but some of my kids needed way more personalized support. Plus, I was teaching them in a second language. So a lot of them needed more one-on-one support from me, more small groups from me. And so I needed systems to be able to deliver that level of personalization to them. The same is true for our programs. So if you want to just have a course that you deliver, maybe you've got some worksheets and you just sell it and sell it and sell it and sell it, that's going to work. But if you are like most of my clients, and the way I like to run my programs, I like higher touch programs. I like programs that might have one-on-one components, that definitely have group coaching components, that have different, what I call implementation strategies. So they're not just a DIY, they're a lot more hands-on for me as the coach or as the mentor. So if that's the kind of program that you want, for every deliverable, every higher touch deliverable like that, every group program, every group call, every one-on-one call, every live event that you want to do, every kind of higher touch point, maybe you want to have check-ins weekly, those kinds of things all require systems. So if you want to have more personalization in your program, you need to have systems to support it, because here is how it could inadvertently stop you from growing your program. Is that you might know, like me, when I think back to that moment when I pulled over my car, I had hit my capacity and I didn't feel capable of growing my membership even anymore because I was already maxed out. So you want to have systems to support every element of your deliverable, so that every deliverable that you have, so that when you go to grow your program, you can, because you're not going to max out. Your capacity meets the amount of people that you're bringing in. So that's the second thing to think about, is the more personalization that you want in your program, the more systems you need to support it if you want it to be scalable. So I hope those two ideas were helpful for you. If you found this useful, I would love to hear from you. Leave a comment below. I would love to hear what was most helpful for you. If you have questions, I will definitely be checking the comments. And if you want to hear more about how I can support you in your business, definitely be sure to check out my podcast called the Align and Inspire podcast. You can subscribe. Every Wednesday, we have a new podcast episode coming out, and I would love to support you through that. So leave a comment, subscribe to the podcast, and check out one of the other videos that I have to support you in creating a scalable signature program.